A child commits his first murder not because he's angry, but just to see if he can do it. This cold moment would shape one of the most feared Sith Lords the galaxy has ever seen. On Dromund Kaas, the dark capital world of the Sith Empire, a boy named Veradun is born. His real father, nobody knows. That detail gets lost like so many others about the man who becomes Darth Malgus. An Imperial scientist adopts him and raises him on a private zoo filled with creatures from across the galaxy. Little Veradun spends his days feeding predators and caring for wounded animals. His adoptive father watches him work, seeing how the boy handles dangerous beasts without fear and dying creatures without getting emotional. The Force runs strong through Veradun. Private teachers come to test what he can do and show him basic tricks. They go back to the Sith Academy and tell the instructors about this kid. He could become something special, they say. His connection to the dark side goes deeper than most children his age. But having potential means nothing without proving it. The test comes on just another regular day at the zoo. A Twi'lek servant makes some tiny mistake. In any normal house, nobody would even remember what happened. But this isn't a normal house. This family serves the Sith Empire, where normal rules don't exist. Veradun kills the servant without thinking twice. He doesn't do it because he's mad. Nobody ordered him to do it either. He just wants to see if he can. The whole thing teaches him something about himself that will control his entire life. Living and dying are choices, and he has the power to make those choices for other people. His adoptive father doesn't get upset about the killing. Actually, he's proud of it. The murder proves his son has the right mindset for Sith training. He tells the Academy what happened, and suddenly Veradun's acceptance becomes guaranteed. The boy has shown the kind of ruthlessness that separates real Sith from people who just happen to use the Force. Before shipping Veradun off to school, his father shares 3 important lessons using examples from their zoo. He talks about how to act, showing how predators behave differently when someone's watching versus when they think they're alone. He explains how to lie and trick people, pointing out how some animals use disguises to survive. Most important, he warns about expecting too much from others because assuming people will act the way you think they will usually gets you killed. These lessons stick in Veradun's head forever. Later, when he's running fleets and taking over worlds, he'll still remember the animals that taught him about power and staying alive. The Sith Academy becomes his new home. Stone hallways echo with the sounds of practiced lightsabers and students screaming when they fail. Everything here is about competition. Being weak gets you killed. Being strong gets you noticed. Being excellent gets you picked by a master. Darth Vindican picks Veradun almost immediately. This pure-blood Sith master sees something in the human boy that other teachers miss. Maybe it's the cold way he thinks about violence. Maybe it's how he treats killing, like using a tool instead of letting his emotions run wild. Whatever the reason, Vindican decides Veradun will be his personal student. Learning from a master starts a whole new part of Veradun's education. Vindican teaches him advanced lightsaber moves and complicated Force powers. Even more important, he shows him how to think like a Sith Lord. Every single thing you do must help you somehow. Every relationship must give you some advantage. Every time you look weak must be hiding deeper strength. They travel all over the galaxy together, handling jobs for the Empire and getting rid of threats to Sith rule. On one trip to Geonosis, Veradun sees something that will change his life in ways his master never planned. In a dusty marketplace on the bug planet, he watches a young Twi'lek slave girl getting beaten by her owner. This kind of violence happens all the time in places where slavery is legal and aliens get treated like property. Most Sith would just ignore what's happening or maybe even enjoy watching someone get dominated. But something about this particular girl grabs Veradun's attention. Her name is Elena Daru, and she refuses to cry even though she's getting hurt badly. This stubbornness, when everything seems hopeless, speaks to something in Veradun's own personality. He acts without asking his master first, killing the girl's owner and claiming her as his property according to local laws. The decision goes against everything the Sith Empire believes in. Humans are supposed to rule while aliens serve them. Relationships are supposed to be about power instead of caring about someone. Love gets considered a weakness that enemies can use against you. But Veradun doesn't care about these rules when it comes to Elena. He treats her like his girlfriend instead of his slave, giving her freedom and respect that would shock other Sith Lords. Their relationship becomes something the Empire would never allow if it became public. So Veradun keeps their love secret, understanding even at his young age that some truths are too dangerous to share. This smart thinking about personal relationships shows how his brain works. He can feel real emotions and get attached to people, but he's also clever enough to protect what matters to him. The same calculating mind that made him kill the Twi'lek servant now helps him keep safe the one person who brings light into his dark world. Time passes at the Academy. Veradun's skills grow under Vindican's teaching. His lightsaber work becomes deadly accurate. His force powers develop beyond what most students ever achieve. His tactical mind learns to see battles several moves ahead. When the Academy teachers decide he's ready for real missions, they mark him for moving up. The change becomes official when Veradun throws away his birth name forever. He picks a new identity that better shows what he's become. He's not the curious child taking care of animals in his father's zoo anymore. Now he's Darth Malgus, a Sith warrior ready to help the Empire conquer the galaxy. The name itself means something heavy. In the old Sith language, it suggests crushing strength and never stopping. People who hear it will learn to fear what it represents. But right now, Malgus is still learning from his master and protecting the woman he loves. The Academy has turned him into a weapon. His adoptive father's lessons have given him wisdom about how power really works. His relationship with Elena has taught him that even Sith Lords can love something more than themselves. All these pieces combine to create someone different from any other Sith of his generation. Soon, the galaxy will find out what Darth Malgus can do when he gets unleashed on his enemies. The Sith Empire is about to come out of hiding and attack the Republic that thinks the Sith are extinct. When that war starts, Malgus will be ready to prove himself in the fires of battle and the glory of conquest. But first, he has to survive the dangerous game of being a Sith apprentice in an empire where ambition kills as many promising students as enemy lightsabers do. The galaxy thinks the Sith are extinct, wiped out 1,000 years ago. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The Sith Empire has been hiding for centuries, building their strength in the darkness beyond known space. Now they're ready to come back with a vengeance. Their target isn't some random planet or trade route. They want Korriban, their ancient homeworld that the Republic has been guarding like a trophy. Darth Vindican gets picked to lead the assault, and he brings his apprentice Malgus along for the ride. This isn't just any mission. This is the moment the Sith announce to the galaxy that they're back and ready for war. The Great Galactic War is about to begin, and it all starts with taking back what belongs to them. Korriban orbits its star like a red wound in space. The planet below holds ancient tombs and Sith temples, places of power that have been calling to their people for a millennium. But first, they have to deal with the Republic space station hanging in orbit above their sacred world. Malgus and Vindican approach in a Fury-class interceptor, a sleek ship built for speed and surprise attacks. They dock with the station like they belong there, then storm into the hangar bay before anyone realizes what's happening. Republic personnel scramble for weapons, but they're already too late. The first defenders to reach them aren't soldiers, they're Jedi. Master Khao Chendarach arrives with his Padawan learner, Satil Shan. Darach is a Zabrak, his face marked with the traditional tattoos of his people. He's a battle master, one of the most skilled lightsaber fighters in the Jedi Order. His apprentice is young but determined, ready to stand beside her master against whatever threat has invaded their station. The Jedi ignite their weapons. Blue and green light fills the hangar as they prepare to defend the station. But they have no idea what they're really facing. The Sith have been training for this moment for generations, and these two warriors represent everything the Republic fears most. Vindican takes on the Master, while Malgus goes after the Padawan. The fights split apart across the hangar deck as sparks fly from clashing lightsabers. Malgus unleashes everything Vindican has taught him, pressing Satil back with aggressive strikes that would overwhelm most opponents. For a moment, it looks like the young Jedi might fall. Malgus's power in the Force and his skill with a lightsaber push her to her limits. But Darach won't let his student die on his watch. The Zabrak Master hurls his lightsaber across the hangar like a guided missile, forcing Malgus to defend himself instead of finishing off Satil. Darach follows up with a blast of Force energy that sends Malgus flying backward. The Master shouts orders to his Padawan, telling her to get out of there and warn the Republic what's coming. A smuggler's ship sits ready in the hangar, and Republic trooper Jace Malcolm lays down covering fire to help her escape. Malgus watches the ship pull away with fury burning in his chest. The Padawan was right there. He could have killed her and struck a blow against the Jedi Order. Instead, she's getting away to fight another day. That failure ignites something dark inside him, and he rejoins his master with renewed anger. Now, it's two Sith against one Jedi, and the odds have shifted completely. Darach is skilled enough to hold his own for a while, even picking up Satil's dropped lightsaber to dual-wield against his opponents. But he's fighting a losing battle, and everyone in the hangar knows it. The Zabrak Master manages to land a critical blow on Vindican, wounding the Sith Lord badly enough to take him out of the fight. But the effort leaves Darach open to Malgus's counterattack. The young Sith channels all his rage and disappointment into a devastating strike that cuts down the Jedi Master. Khao Chendarach falls, his life ending on the deck of a Republic station that was supposed to be safe. His death marks Malgus's first major victory as a Sith warrior. Killing a battlemaster, one of the Jedi Order's most respected fighters, proves that Malgus has what it takes to be something special. But the victory comes with a cost. Vindican lies wounded, probably dying from the injuries Darach inflicted before going down. A good apprentice would try to save his master, get him medical help, maybe even carry him to safety. Malgus isn't a good apprentice in that sense. He stands over Vindican with his lightsaber still ignited. His master is weak, wounded, defeated by a single Jedi when he should have been unstoppable. In Malgus's mind, that makes Vindican a failure. And the Sith don't tolerate failure, even from their own masters. The killing stroke comes without hesitation. Malgus executes his own master there in the hangar, ending Vindican's life with the same cold calculation he showed as a child in his father's zoo. It's brutal, but it's also strategic. Weakness spreads like a disease, and Malgus won't let himself be infected by it. With the station secured and the Jedi defenders dead, the Sith fleet moves in to take control of Korriban itself. Malgus stands on the planet's surface for the first time, breathing air that his people haven't tasted for 1,000 years. The red sand beneath his feet holds the bones of ancient Sith lords, and their power calls to him across the centuries. That's when the vision hits him. The Force shows Malgus images of what's coming. He sees the galaxy burning, Republic worlds in flames, Jedi temples crumbling to dust. The vision is so clear and powerful that he knows it's not just a possibility. It's destiny, his destiny. He's meant to bring about the Republic's destruction and wipe out the Jedi Order completely. The moment changes everything for Malgus. Before this, he was just following orders, learning to be a good Sith warrior. Now he has a purpose that goes beyond serving the Empire or obeying the Dark Council. He's going to personally tear down everything the Republic has built and make sure the Jedi pay for 1,000 years of thinking they've won. Standing there on Korriban with Sith ships landing around him, Malgus becomes something more dangerous than just another Dark Lord. He becomes a true believer in the Sith cause, someone willing to do whatever it takes to see his vision come true. The Republic doesn't know it yet, but their greatest enemy has just found his calling. The recapture of Korriban succeeds beyond anyone's expectations. After a millennium in exile, the Sith hold their sacred world again. Ancient tombs that have been sealed for generations open their doors to welcome their descendants home. The planet's dark side energy flows freely once more, strengthening every Sith who sets foot on its surface. But more than territory has been won here. The operation proves that the Sith Empire is back and ready for war. They've struck at the heart of Republic space, killed respected Jedi defenders, and reclaimed their most important world. The message is clear to anyone smart enough to read it. The galaxy is about to change, and Darth Malgus will be leading that change. His ruthlessness in killing his own master shows he'll do anything to achieve victory. His vision of Republic destruction gives him the motivation to keep fighting no matter what the cost. And his growing power in the Force makes him someone the Jedi will learn to fear. Korriban belongs to the Sith again, but that's just the beginning. Malgus has seen the future, and it's written in fire and blood. The Great Galactic War has started, and it won't end until one side completely destroys the other. The Republic thinks they're fighting another border conflict. They have no idea they're facing an enemy who won't stop until their entire civilization lies in ruins. Success can be more dangerous than failure because it makes you think you're invincible. Malgus is about to learn that lesson the hard way. His victories keep piling up after Korriban. Every battle he fights, every world he helps conquer, every Jedi he kills adds to his growing reputation. The Dark Council notices his results and decides he's earned a promotion. They grant him the rank of Sith Lord and give him the official title of Darth. Now he's Darth Malgus for real, with the authority to lead major operations across the galaxy. The Great Galactic War is reaching its peak, and both sides are looking for ways to break the stalemate. The Empire decides to hit the Republic where it hurts most. Alderaan sits right in the core worlds, a peaceful planet that's never seen real combat. It's beautiful, wealthy, and completely unprepared for what's coming. Malgus gets picked to lead the assault. This isn't just another border skirmish or raid on some backwater world. This is a full invasion of one of the Republic's most important systems. The Empire wants to prove they can strike anywhere, anytime, and there's nobody better for the job than their rising star. The plan works perfectly at first. Imperial intelligence feeds the Republic false information about attacks elsewhere, drawing their fleet away from Alderaan. When Malgus's ships drop out of hyperspace above the planet, there's almost nobody there to stop them. The orbital bombardment that follows lights up Alderaan's sky like a second sun. Thousands of troops pour down from the Imperial fleet. Battle droids march alongside Sith warriors and regular soldiers in a massive invasion force. Malgus lands with them, ready to personally lead the conquest of this Republic stronghold. His lightsaber cuts through any defenders brave enough to stand in his way. The devastation spreads across Alderaan like wildfire. Forests that have stood for centuries burn to ash. Cities that have never known war get reduced to rubble. Malgus's forces advance toward the capital, leaving destruction in their wake. For a planet that's been safe behind Republic lines, the shock is overwhelming. But the Republic doesn't give up that easily. Commander Jace Malcolm leads the counterattack with his Special Forces unit called Havoc Squad. This is the same trooper who helped Satele Shan escape from Korriban all those years ago. He's been fighting the Empire ever since, and now he gets his chance for payback against the Sith who let his friends get away. Malcolm's guerrilla tactics catch the Imperial forces off guard. Instead of meeting them head-on where they're strongest, Havoc Squad hits them from unexpected angles in the valleys and forests of Alderaan. They use the terrain to their advantage, making every Imperial step forward cost blood and time. Malgus decides to handle this problem personally. He wades into the fighting with his lightsaber spinning, cutting down Republic soldiers like they're training dummies. His rage and power make him nearly unstoppable on the battlefield. Regular troops can't even get close to him without getting torn apart. That's when Malcolm makes his move. The commander fires a barrage of rockets directly at Malgus, not caring that he's way too close to the explosion zone. The rockets hit their target and explode in a massive fireball that would kill any normal person instantly. But Malgus isn't normal. He survives the blast through pure dark side willpower and his heavy armor. The explosions scorch his face and body, leaving permanent scars that will mark him for the rest of his life. His breathing becomes damaged, turning into a harsh rasp that makes every breath sound painful. Yet he's still standing, still fighting, still dangerous. Malcolm charges in for a follow-up attack, probably thinking the wounded Sith is finished. Instead, Malgus hits him with Force lightning that drops the commander like a stone. The electrical energy courses through Malcolm's body, leaving him barely conscious on the battlefield. Just when it looks like Malgus is about to finish off his opponent, help arrives from an unexpected source. Satil Shan, the Padawan who escaped him on Korriban, lands on the battlefield as a full Jedi Knight. She's grown stronger over the years, more confident in her abilities, and ready to face the Sith who's been haunting her memories. The lightsaber duel that follows becomes legendary. Malgus fights with raw power and aggression, using his physical strength to overwhelm his opponent. His strikes come fast and hard, driving Satil backward across the war-torn landscape of Alderaan. For a moment, it looks like he might actually beat her. But Satil has learned a few tricks since their last encounter. When Malgus presses his attack too aggressively, she uses the Force to grab a massive tree and slam it down between them. The impact separates the fighters and gives her a chance to catch her breath. The battle continues with both warriors pushing their abilities to the limit. Malgus destroys Satil's double-bladed lightsaber with a powerful strike, leaving her with just one working blade. But when he moves in for the kill, she does something incredible. She catches his lightsaber with her bare hand, using the Force to protect her skin from the burning energy. That's when Jace Malcolm rejoins the fight. The wounded commander tackles Malgus from behind, wrapping his arms around the Sith Lord in a desperate grapple. Malcolm reveals something that changes everything. He's holding a live grenade, and he's willing to die if it means taking Malgus with him. The explosion goes off right between them. Malcolm gets thrown backward by the blast, probably dead or close to it. Malgus survives again, but the second explosion in one day leaves him even more damaged than before. His armor is cracked, his body is broken, and his breathing is getting worse by the minute. Satil seizes the moment when Malgus is staggered. She uses the Force to pick him up and hurl him into a nearby cliff face. The impact would be enough to kill most people, but she's not done yet. Channeling all her power, she brings down the entire cliff on top of him. Tons of rock and debris bury Malgus completely. To everyone watching, it looks like the Sith Lord has finally been defeated. His body disappears under the avalanche, and there's no way anyone could survive that much weight crushing down on them. The Republic forces rally around Satil's victory. Seeing their most dangerous enemy apparently dead gives them the hope they need to push back against the Imperial invasion. Fresh reinforcements arrive to help drive the Sith off Alderaan. For the first time in the war, the Empire is forced to retreat from a major operation. But reports of Malgus's death turn out to be greatly exaggerated. Hours after the battle ends, something moves under the pile of rubble. Malgus claws his way out of his rocky tomb, broken and bleeding, but somehow still alive. His face is a mess of burns and cuts. His breathing sounds like a broken machine. Every movement causes him obvious pain, yet he refuses to give up. His hatred and connection to the dark side keep him going when any normal person would have died. He makes it to his personal shuttle and orders his pilot to get him out of there before Republic forces find him. Elena Daru nurses him back to health over the following weeks and months. She tends to his wounds with the same care she's always shown, helping him recover from injuries that should have been fatal. But some damage can't be healed, no matter how much love and medical attention he receives. From this point forward, Malgus needs a respirator mask to breathe properly. The device covers his mouth, nose, and neck, hiding the worst of his facial scars while helping his damaged lungs function. The mask becomes part of his identity, a permanent reminder of the day Satil Shan nearly killed him. The Battle of Alderaan marks the first real defeat of Malgus's career. He went in expecting an easy victory and came out broken and scarred. But the experience doesn't humble him or make him more cautious. Instead, it fills him with even more hatred for the Republic and the Jedi who stopped him. The mask he wears becomes a symbol of his commitment to revenge. Every labored breath reminds him of what Satele Shan cost him. Every reflection in a mirror shows him the price of underestimating his enemies. The defeat on Alderaan doesn't break Malgus. It just makes him more dangerous. The war continues, but now it's personal for Malgus in a way it never was before. He's tasted defeat, and he doesn't like the flavor. The next time he faces Satele Shan or any other Jedi, he'll be ready for their tricks, and he'll make sure they pay for every scar on his face. Sometimes the biggest victory comes disguised as an offer of peace. The Republic is about to learn this lesson in the most devastating way possible. After 28 years of brutal war, everyone in the galaxy wants the fighting to stop. The Sith Dark Council reaches out to the Republic Senate with an unexpected proposal. Peace talks, a chance to end the bloodshed and find some kind of agreement both sides can live with. They suggest meeting on Alderaan, neutral ground where diplomats can work without fear of attack. The Republic jumps at the opportunity. Their leadership packs up and heads to Alderaan, bringing their best negotiators and many of their most important Jedi along for protection. After nearly 3 decades of war, the chance for peace seems too good to pass up. But the peace talks are a lie, the biggest, most elaborate lie in galactic history. While Republic leaders argue about treaty terms on Alderaan, the real Sith plan unfolds in secret. The Empire has been preparing for this moment for months, positioning their most powerful fleet for a surprise assault on the one target that could end the war in a single stroke. Coruscant, the Republic capital, sits nearly defenseless with its best protectors distracted by fake negotiations. Darth picks Malgus to lead the most important part of the attack. His target isn't the Senate building or the military command centers. He's going after the Jedi Temple itself, the symbol of everything the Republic stands for. If the temple falls, the psychological impact will be even more devastating than any military victory. Malgus accepts the mission with something approaching religious devotion. This is the moment he's been waiting for since his vision on Korriban all those years ago. The galaxy in flames, the Republic destroyed, the Jedi Order wiped from existence. Finally, he gets to make that vision real with his own hands. The planning becomes obsessive. Malgus reviews battle simulations thousands of times, studying every possible angle of attack and defense. He gets assigned 50 Sith warriors for the assault, elite fighters who can handle whatever the Jedi throw at them. But Malgus knows this operation will require more than just lightsaber skills. He brings Elena Daru with him, despite the obvious danger. After nursing him back to health from his Alderaan injuries, she's become more than just his lover. She's his anchor to something beyond hatred and war. Her presence reminds him that he's fighting for a future, not just destroying the past. Shae Vizsla joins the team as their tactical specialist. This Mandalorian bounty hunter brings skills the Sith warriors lack, along with weapons and equipment that can breach the temple's defenses. Her flamethrower and rockets will turn the ancient halls into a war zone. The timing has to be perfect. As Republic negotiators sit down with Sith diplomats on Alderaan, Malgus walks through the crowded streets of Coruscant like any other visitor to the capital. Citizens go about their daily lives with no idea that war is literally walking among them. The temple rises ahead, its spires reaching toward the sky in a display of Jedi confidence that's about to be shattered forever. Temple security guards notice something wrong when Malgus approaches their checkpoint. Maybe it's the way he moves, or the cold look in his eyes, or just instinct telling them this man doesn't belong here. They challenge him according to protocol, asking for identification and stating his business. Malgus answers by drawing his lightsaber and cutting them down where they stand. The red blade ignites the same moment his patience runs out. He tells Elena to stay back and let him handle this part alone. The killing has to start somewhere, and these guards are as good as anyone else. Their deaths become the signal Shae Vizsla has been waiting for. She slips through a maintenance hatch and begins her infiltration of the temple's interior systems. Meanwhile, Malgus's hidden strike team moves into position around the building's perimeter. Everything depends on coordination and timing. Malgus and Elena stride into the temple's main hall like they own the place. The architecture speaks of centuries of peace and contemplation, with high ceilings and graceful columns that have never seen violence. Jedi Knights appear to defend their sacred ground, led by Master Ven Zalo, the same commander who escaped Malgus's trap on Sereno. This time, Zalo won't be getting away. The stolen Republic dropship crashes through the main entrance right on schedule. Stone and metal explode inward as the ship tears through walls that were never meant to withstand military assault. Malgus's 50 Sith warriors pour out of the wreckage like a tide of death, their red lightsabers painting the hall in crimson light. Malgus ignites his own weapon and remembers his prophecy from Korriban. This is the day he saw in his vision, the moment when everything changes. The attack begins with him at the center, exactly as destiny intended. The battle that follows becomes legend. 50 Sith warriors against whatever Jedi happened to be in the temple that day, fighting room by room through halls that echo with the clash of lightsabers. Malgus cuts down multiple opponents while using Force lightning to blast others into submission. His rage has been building for years, and now it finally has a target worthy of its fury. Shae Vizsla turns the temple into her personal playground. Rockets explode against ancient walls while her flamethrower sets tapestries and furniture ablaze. The Mandalorian brings chaos to a place that's known only peace for generations. Lord Adrias arrives with the dropship and immediately starts causing problems. This political creature from Malgus's past begins ordering Force explosions without consulting anyone, showing the same reckless disregard for tactics that made him useless at Ord Radama. But his destructive power adds to the mayhem, so Malgus tolerates his presence for now. The Jedi mount a desperate defense with whatever Republic troopers they can find, but they're not prepared for this kind of assault. The temple was built as a place of learning and meditation, not a fortress designed to withstand military attack. Their defenders fall back room by room as the Sith advance deeper into their sacred spaces. Malgus seeks out Ven Zalo specifically, recognizing the Jedi Master as his most dangerous opponent. Zalo proves worthy of his reputation, killing Sith warriors even as Malgus closes in on his position. When Adrias tries to ambush the Jedi from behind, Zalo uses the Force to throw him aside without even looking. The duel between Malgus and Zalo becomes the center of the entire battle. These two masters of combat circle each other in the burning temple, their weapons moving faster than ordinary eyes can follow. Zalo even manages to hit Malgus in the face with his lightsaber hilt during one lightning-fast exchange, showing that experience can sometimes match raw power. But Malgus has been preparing for this moment his entire life. His fury and physical strength eventually overcome Zalo's skill and experience. A powerful kick sends the Jedi Master staggering backward, creating the opening Malgus needs. He hurls his lightsaber like a spear, then follows up with a force blast that slams Zalo into a pile of rubble. The finishing move comes from above. Malgus leaps high into the air and brings his recovered blade down in a strike that impales Zalo through the abdomen. The Jedi Master dies looking up at his killer, seeing the temple burn around them as his life fades away. This kill becomes Malgus's greatest triumph of the entire war. Zalo was a member of the Jedi High Council, a respected leader whose death will be felt across the galaxy. His body lying in the ruins of the temple sends a message that no Jedi is safe anywhere, no matter how skilled or protected they think they are. With the main resistance broken, Malgus's mission enters its final phase. Outside the temple, Darth Angral's forces seize the Senate building and assassinate the Supreme Chancellor. The Republic's government collapses in a matter of hours as key leaders die or flee for their lives. Malgus takes time to check on Alina, who got wounded during the fighting. She's alive but hurt, needing medical attention that she won't get until they're safely back aboard Imperial ships. He also has to deal with Adraas, who ordered an orbital bombardment without permission. The political creature's eagerness to claim credit for victories extends to making tactical decisions he has no authority to make. But first, Malgus wants to leave a permanent scar on galactic history. The Jedi Temple has stood on Coruscant for centuries, a symbol of the Order's power and prestige. Simply capturing it isn't enough. He wants to erase it completely, turning the ancient structure into a tomb for everyone who died defending it. Explosives get rigged throughout the building's support structure. When they detonate, the temple doesn't just collapse. It disintegrates. Centuries of architecture reduced to rubble and dust in a matter of seconds. The spires that once reached toward the sky come crashing down while Malgus watches from a safe distance. Half the Jedi High Council dies in the assault. The Order's reputation gets destroyed along with their most sacred building. Across the galaxy, people see images of the temple's destruction and realize that the Jedi aren't as invincible as everyone thought. If the Empire can strike at the heart of Republic power this easily, nowhere is truly safe. The psychological impact works exactly as planned. Back on Alderaan, Republic negotiators receive word that their capital has fallen and their government has collapsed. The peace talks become surrender negotiations as the Republic realizes they have no choice but to accept whatever terms the Empire offers. The Treaty of Coruscant ends the Great Galactic War on the Empire's terms. Huge amounts of territory change hands while the Republic agrees to pay massive reparations for the privilege of continuing to exist. The Sith have won a victory so complete that it reshapes the balance of power for decades to come. Malgus hoped for something even more dramatic. He wanted the Republic completely destroyed, wiped from existence like the Jedi Temple. Using Coruscant as political leverage instead of obliterating it feels like settling for half measures. But even a partial victory fulfills part of his vision from Korriban. The Jedi are shamed, the Republic is brought to its knees, and the galaxy knows the Sith are back to stay. Standing in the ruins of the temple he destroyed, Malgus can feel satisfied with what he's accomplished. The building that symbolized Jedi power for generations is gone forever. The Order's reputation lies in tatters along with their most sacred spaces, and his name will be remembered as the one who led the attack that changed galactic history. The sacking of Coruscant becomes the defining moment of Malgus's career. Everything he's learned from his victories and defeats has led to this triumph. The boy who killed a servant in his father's zoo has grown into the man who brought down the Jedi Temple with his own hands. Victory can taste like poison when you realize the people on your own side have different plans. Malgus is about to discover that winning the battle doesn't always mean winning the war. Standing on war-torn Coruscant after the temple's destruction, Malgus expects to watch the planet burn. His vision from Korriban showed the galaxy in flames, and this should be the moment that vision becomes reality. The Sith Armada hangs in orbit above the Republic capital, powerful enough to turn the entire world into ash and rubble. But hours pass, and nothing happens. No orbital bombardment, no planet-killing fire from the sky. The civilian population huddles in their buildings, terrified but still breathing. Malgus demands an explanation from his superiors and gets an answer that makes his blood boil. Darth Malgus and the Imperial leadership have decided to spare Coruscant. Instead of destroying the Republic's heart, they want to use it as a bargaining chip in peace negotiations. The planet's survival becomes leverage to force better treaty terms from a broken enemy. The decision feels like betrayal to Malgus. Everything he's fought for, everything he's sacrificed, everything he's believed about the Sith purpose gets thrown away for political convenience. He didn't spend years planning the temple assault just to hand Coruscant back to the Republic with a bow tied around it. His confrontation with Malgus takes place in the occupied Senate Tower, where Imperial forces have set up their command center. Malgus walks into that meeting ready to challenge the decision and gets a lesson in Sith politics he'll never forget. Malgus and Lord Adreas, that political snake from Ord Radama, team up to put Malgus in his place. They lecture him about the bigger picture, about strategy beyond simple destruction, about thinking like a leader instead of just a warrior. But their real weapon is much more personal. They know about Elena Daru. They know how much she means to him, and they're willing to use that knowledge as a weapon against their own ally. Adreas delivers the most cutting blow. While Malgus was busy destroying the temple, Adreas took it upon himself to redirect Elena to a civilian hospital instead of secure Imperial medical facilities. He calls her a mongrel, using the Empire's harsh language to describe the woman Malgus loves. The insult is designed to provoke, and it works perfectly. Malgus ignites his lightsaber right there in the command center. For a moment, it looks like he might cut Adreas down in front of everyone. But Malgus intervenes, ordering Malgus to leave and tend to his wounded lover while keeping Adreas by his side. The message is clear. Adreas has their superior's favor. Malgus is the outsider. The humiliation burns worse than any physical wound. These politicians in Sith robes have identified his weakness and used it against him in front of other Imperial officers. They've shown him exactly how much power they really have and how little his military victories matter in the face of political maneuvering. Malgus rushes to the civilian hospital where Elena was taken and finds chaos beyond imagination. The building overflows with casualties from the Imperial attack, wounded people everywhere, medical staff overwhelmed by the sheer number of injured. The smell of blood and bacta fills the air while desperate families search for their loved ones. An angry crowd of Coruscanti civilians recognizes him as he approaches the hospital. These people have just watched their capital get conquered, their government destroyed, their most sacred temple reduced to rubble. When they see one of the Sith responsible for their suffering, they react with the only weapon they have left. Rocks and debris start flying at Malgus as the crowd vents its rage. Their defiance triggers something dark in Malgus's already fragile emotional state. He unleashes a telekinetic wave that blasts the mob aside like leaves in a hurricane. Bodies hit walls and pavement with bone-breaking force as ordinary citizens pay the price for daring to challenge a Sith Lord. Inside the hospital, Malgus finds Alina alive but injured. He carries her out personally, walking through corridors filled with frightened medical staff and wounded patients who press themselves against walls to avoid his attention. The woman he loves rests in his arms, while around them stretches the evidence of everything he's helped destroy. During the flight back to the Imperial fleet, Malgus wrestles with emotions that tear at his soul. His love for Alina conflicts with everything he's been taught about Sith strength. Attachment is weakness. Love is vulnerability. And his superiors have just proven they can use both against him whenever they choose. The realization eats at him like acid. As long as Alina lives, she represents a pressure point his enemies can exploit. Angral and Adrias have already shown their willingness to threaten her safety to control his behavior. Other rivals within the Empire will certainly try the same tactics once they learn about his attachment. In true Sith fashion, Malgus decides to eliminate the weakness at its source. The killing happens in private, away from witnesses who might use the act against him later. Malgus murders the woman he loves with his own hands, ending her life to protect himself from those who would use her against him. The decision tears him apart inside, but he views it as necessary sacrifice on the altar of Sith principles. The act causes him enormous pain, grief that cuts deeper than any lightsaber wound. But that pain also feeds his connection to the dark side, making him stronger even as it destroys part of his humanity. He's proven that nothing owns him, not even love. The price of that proof will haunt him for the rest of his life. With Alina dead, Malgus turns his attention to the Imperial politicians who engineered the peace he despises. Lord Adrias becomes his primary target, representing everything wrong with the current Sith leadership. This creature trades true victory for political compromise, caring more about position than principle. The duel between Malgus and Adrias becomes a settling of accounts that's been building since Ord Radamar. Malgus unleashes all his hatred and grief in a battle that showcases the difference between a politician and a warrior. When Adrias tries to stop him with Force lightning, Malgus walks straight through the electrical assault to cut his rival down. The killing feels like cleansing to Malgus. He's purging the Empire of weakness, eliminating those responsible for the Republic's continued existence. But the act also marks his final break with Imperial authority. By murdering an esteemed Sith Lord, he's declared war on the entire political structure that commands him. The Dark Council and Emperor can no longer trust Malgus to follow orders without question. He's shown himself willing to kill other Sith when their goals conflict with his vision of what the Empire should become. His loyalty remains to Sith ideals rather than Sith leaders, making him dangerous to anyone who prioritizes politics over purity. Malgus begins charting an independent course, still serving the Empire in name while pursuing his own agenda in practice. He defies direct orders when they conflict with his principles. He eliminates obstacles without waiting for authorization. He builds his own power base separate from traditional Imperial hierarchies. The man who destroyed the Jedi Temple has become a rogue element within his own faction. His greatest victories lie ahead, but so do his greatest betrayals. The Empire created a monster in Darth Malgus, and now they're about to learn what happens when that monster decides his creators aren't worthy of his service. The sacking of Coruscant was supposed to be the end of Malgus's story, the climax where he fulfills his destiny and helps destroy the Republic forever. Instead, it becomes the beginning of a new chapter where he realizes his true enemies might be wearing the same colors he does. The galaxy hasn't seen the last of Darth Malgus. His most dramatic moves, his greatest rebellion, his ultimate betrayal of everything he once served are still to come. The Sith Empire thinks they control him, but they're about to discover that some weapons can't be aimed. They can only be unleashed. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one who stops playing by the rules everyone else follows. Malgus is about to become that enemy for his own empire. The Treaty of Coruscant brings peace to the galaxy, but it's the kind of peace that satisfies nobody. The Cold War begins, a decade of tension where both sides glare at each other across heavily defended borders while plotting their next moves. Most Sith Lords spend this time scheming against each other in the halls of power on Dromund Kaas. Malgus wants nothing to do with their political games. He's seen enough of Sith politics to know it's all backstabbing and betrayal disguised as strategy. Instead of wasting time in Dark Council meetings, he takes command of expeditionary forces heading into the unknown regions beyond mapped space. Out there in the darkness between stars, Malgus finds what he's been looking for. New worlds to conquer, alien species that have never heard of the Sith Empire or the Republic. Territories where he can build something according to his own vision instead of following orders from politicians who think compromise is a virtue. His campaigns in the unknown regions expand Imperial influence while giving him a personal power base far from the oversight of rival Sith. More importantly, these missions let him experiment with ideas that would be considered heresy back home. He starts employing alien species in positions of authority, using unorthodox tactics that traditionalist Sith Lords would never consider. The success of these expeditions earns him grudging respect back in Imperial space. When he occasionally returns to Dromund Kaas for briefings or supply runs, other Sith acknowledge his military genius, even if they don't understand his methods. His results speak louder than their prejudices. A reshuffling of power on the Dark Council opens up a seat, and Malgus gets appointed to fill it. Suddenly, he's part of the Empire's ruling body, with a voice in decisions that affect billions of lives across the galaxy. But his presence on the Council becomes a source of constant friction. Malgus uses his position to advocate for radical changes in Imperial policy. He argues that the Empire needs to adapt, to accept alien allies instead of clinging to pure-blood Sith supremacy. The galaxy is full of species that could serve the Empire if given the chance. But traditional thinking keeps them enslaved or excluded entirely. His fellow council members hate these ideas. To them, alien species are tools at best, vermin at worst. The suggestion that non-humans could be trusted with real authority strikes them as dangerous madness. But Malgus has seen what alien warriors can accomplish when they're fighting for something they believe in rather than just following orders. He also speaks against the mongrelization of the Empire through peace and politics. In his view, only strength and continuous warfare can secure lasting victory. The Cold War's endless negotiations and diplomatic maneuvering weaken the Empire's warrior spirit, turning Sith Lords into politicians more concerned with position than power. These views make him enemies among the Council, but Malgus doesn't have an obvious faction backing him. He follows orders reliably on the surface, keeping his most radical experiments confined to the unknown regions where nobody important pays attention. This combination of usefulness and isolation lets him survive longer than most dissenting voices. The Cold War period brings another significant change when the Sith Emperor becomes mysteriously absent. Vashid has ruled the Empire for over 1,000 years, but after an attempted attack on Dromund Kaas by Jedi heroes, he seems to withdraw from active involvement in Imperial affairs. Some whisper that he's dead, others that he's pursuing some secret project beyond mortal understanding. Malgus sees opportunity in the Emperor's absence. When a Sith Lord named Darth Arho attempts to seize the crystal-rich planet Ilum in retaliation for the Emperor's presumed death, Malgus makes a calculation that shocks everyone. He helps the Republic forces defeat Arho, removing a rival while appearing to serve the greater good. With Arho eliminated, Malgus claims his seat on the Dark Council and takes control of the sphere of military offense. Officially, he's overseeing Imperial efforts to secure Adagan crystals from Ilum for a new stealth fleet. Unofficially, he's laying the groundwork for something much more ambitious. Malgus begins amassing resources in secret, using his new authority to commandeer Arho's cache of crystals and the stealth ship technology they're meant to power. He also gains control of other assets, including a massive space station, sometimes called the Emperor's Fortress. This facility becomes the centerpiece of his hidden preparations. Through allies in Imperial intelligence and contacts in the galactic underworld, Malgus obtains the services of the Schism Collective, a rogue group of technologists willing to work for anyone with enough credits. They help him integrate ancient foundry droid manufacturing technology into his space station, creating a production facility that can build armies in secret. The scope of Malgus's preparations becomes staggering. He's building a fleet of stealth ships, an army of battle droids, and recruiting loyal soldiers from across the galaxy. All of this happens right under the noses of the Dark Council and Imperial intelligence, hidden in plain sight as legitimate military preparations. When open war reignites between the Empire and Republic, Malgus decides the time has come to reveal his true intentions. The Second Galactic War provides perfect cover for what he's been planning. With the Sith Emperor apparently dead and the Dark Council focused on fighting the Republic, nobody expects an attack from within. Malgus's betrayal comes in the form of a public proclamation that rocks the galaxy. He announces the birth of a new empire with himself as its emperor, condemning the infighting and prejudices of the old Sith Order. His manifesto calls for an empire tempered by alien alliances and strengthened by tolerance rather than bloodline. The speech appeals to everyone who's been excluded or oppressed by traditional imperial policies. Alien species see hope for equality. Disillusioned Sith hear promises of an empire focused on strength, not politics. Mercenaries and soldiers of fortune smell opportunity in the chaos that's coming. Malgus invites them all to join his cause, promising unrelenting war to purify the galaxy of both the stagnant Sith Empire and the corrupt Republic. His new empire will be unified by strength and dedication. It's a radical vision that attracts followers from every corner of the galaxy. The response exceeds even Malgus's expectations. Imperial officers defect to his banner, bringing ships and soldiers with them. Alien warriors flock to serve an empire that promises to value their contributions. Even some Sith Lords, frustrated with the Dark Council's endless scheming, decide to gamble on Malgus's vision of the future. Darth Revan, a prominent Sith diplomat, becomes one of his most important converts. Revan's defection lends legitimacy to the new empire, proving that serious Sith lords see merit in Malgus's cause. His presence helps convince others that this isn't just a mad grab for power, but a genuine alternative to imperial failure. The legitimate empire immediately denounces Malgus as the false emperor, a renegade who's betrayed everything the Sith stand for. But their condemnation comes too late to stop the momentum he's building. Both the Empire and Republic suddenly face a third faction in the Galactic War, one armed with advanced technology and led by one of the most successful military commanders of his generation. Malgus's forces seize territory in the unknown regions and score quick victories that demonstrate his new empire's capabilities. His stealth fleet gives him tactical advantages that neither the Republic nor the old Empire can match. His diverse coalition of followers brings skills and perspectives that pure Sith orthodoxy lacks. For a moment, it seems like Malgus might actually succeed in reshaping galactic civilization. His new empire offers something neither the Republic nor the old Empire can provide: a vision of unity based on strength and not on politics or prejudice. The man who destroyed the Jedi Temple is now trying to build something worthy of replacing what he tore down. But revolutions are easier to start than to sustain. And Malgus is about to learn that declaring yourself emperor is only the first step in actually becoming one. When you make enemies of everyone, eventually they stop fighting each other and start fighting you. Malgus is about to learn this lesson in the most painful way possible. Malgus sets his rebellion in motion on Ilum, the crystal-rich world where Republic and Imperial forces have been skirmishing for control. The planet's Adagan crystals are perfect for his stealth fleet, and the ongoing conflict provides cover for his operations. He dispatches Darth Revan to occupy the surface and continue what Darth Aho started, securing resources while destabilizing both factions. But declaring war on two galactic superpowers at once creates an unexpected problem. Malgus's open treason does something that seemed impossible just days before. The Republic and the Sith Empire, bitter enemies for decades, form a temporary alliance to deal with their common threat. Republic heroes and Imperial strike teams converge on Ilum with a single mission: destroy Malgus's forces before his new empire can gain a foothold in known space. The sight of Jedi and Sith fighting side by side would be unthinkable under normal circumstances, but Malgus has created very abnormal circumstances. The battles on Ilum's surface go badly for Malgus's followers. Despite their advanced equipment and diverse coalition, they're outnumbered and outgunned by the combined might of two galactic militaries. Darth Revan falls defending the Crystal Caves, along with most of the alien warriors and defected Imperial troops who believed in Malgus's vision. Even worse, the Republic Imperial coalition manages to capture part of Malgus's stealth armada. Ships that took months to build and equip get turned against their creator as enemy forces reverse engineer their technology. The stealth advantage that made Malgus so dangerous begins working against him. The real disaster comes when a joint strike team hijacks one of Malgus's own stealth ships and uses it to track down his hidden base of operations. The space station that serves as his throne and command center, the Emperor's fortress that houses his droid factories and weapon stockpiles, gets located by enemies using his own technology against him. The Allied strike team boards the station in a desperate assault that turns the corridors into war zones. Malgus's droid army and loyal troops fight to defend their leader, but they're facing some of the most skilled warriors from both factions. Republic heroes and Imperial champions work together with deadly efficiency, cutting through defenses that should have been impregnable. When the attackers finally reach his command throne room, Malgus faces a choice that defines his character. He could try to escape, use his stealth ships to flee into the unknown regions, and rebuild his forces for another attempt. Instead, he chooses to make his final stand right here, right now, against enemies who represent everything he's fought to destroy. Malgus activates the station's self-destruct sequence, intending to take his enemies with him while denying them access to his technology. If he can't rule the galaxy, at least he can make sure these representatives of failed civilizations don't benefit from his innovations. The duel that follows becomes legendary among those who survive to tell about it. Malgus proves why he was considered one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, unleashing decades of combat experience and dark side power against his attackers. His lightsaber work cuts down several elite warriors, while his force abilities shrug off injuries that would cripple normal fighters. For a time, it looks like Malgus might actually win despite being outnumbered. His rage fuels abilities that border on supernatural, allowing him to fight multiple opponents simultaneously while the station explodes around them. The false emperor shows why he earned that title through strength rather than just political maneuvering. But the strike team represents the best of both factions, and they've been carefully chosen for this exact mission. They coordinate their attacks with military precision, using their numbers and diverse abilities to exploit weaknesses in Malgus's defense. Where Sith lightning fails, Jedi powers succeed. Where Republic tactics fall short, Imperial brutality makes up the difference. Malgus's single-minded rage, the same fury that's driven him to greatness throughout his career, finally becomes his weakness. His focus on destroying his enemies makes him careless about his own defense. When the strike team deploys pulse grenades and coordinates force attacks from multiple angles, he's too committed to his offensive to properly counter. The combined assault staggers even Malgus's enhanced abilities. Explosions and telekinetic strikes hit him from every direction, while lightsaber attacks probe for openings in his defense. His armor cracks, his breathing becomes labored, and for the first time in the fight, he starts giving ground. The climax comes when concentrated fire blasts Malgus off his feet and sends him tumbling over the railing that surrounds the throne room. He falls into the station's reactor shaft, disappearing into the mechanical depths as explosions tear through the structure around him. The false emperor's reign ends not with victory or escape, but with a long fall into darkness. The strike team barely escapes as the Emperor's fortress tears itself apart. The station that represented Malgus's vision of a new empire becomes an expanding fireball visible from Illum's surface. For everyone watching, it looks like the false Emperor has finally been destroyed, along with his dreams of galactic transformation. The official propaganda writes Malgus's obituary before his body stops falling. The Empire labels him a pretender whose coup was crushed by loyal forces. The Republic celebrates the elimination of a threat that could have changed the balance of power forever. Both sides agree that Darth Malgus is dead and his brief rebellion is finished. The new empire collapses almost immediately without its charismatic leader. Most of Malgus's surviving followers surrender or scatter back to their homeworlds, abandoning a cause that seemed doomed from the moment the Republic and Empire joined forces. The galaxy returns to its familiar two-faction conflict as if the false emperor had never existed. In the years that follow, Malgus becomes a cautionary tale within Imperial society. His name gets mentioned alongside ancient Sith like Exar Kun and Revan, ambitious leaders who reached too far and paid the ultimate price. New students at Sith academies learn about the dangers of challenging established order, using Malgus as an example of what happens to those who forget their place. The Empire purges any remaining sympathizers of Malgus's vision, reasserting traditional Sith values of species purity and hierarchical control. The Republic feels relieved to have one less enemy, though some Jedi wonder if Malgus's near success exposed weaknesses in Imperial society that could be exploited later. But rumors persist in the shadows where failed rebellions leave their traces. Scavengers combing through the debris of Ilum find no trace of Malgus's body among the wreckage. A few loyal followers refuse to believe their emperor is really dead, keeping faith with a vision that promised equality and strength over bloodline and politics. These whispers don't change anything in the short term. The galaxy moves on, the war continues, and new threats emerge to replace old ones. But somewhere in the unknown regions where Malgus built his first power base, strange ships move through hyperspace carrying cargo that official records don't acknowledge. The false emperor's fall seems complete, his legacy reduced to a warning about the dangers of ambition. Yet history has a way of bringing back figures that seemed safely buried in the past. And sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones everyone believes are dead. For now, the galaxy thinks it's seen the last of Darth Malgus. They're about to discover how wrong they are. Death is supposed to be permanent, but the Sith have always played by different rules. Malgus is about to prove that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones you thought you'd already killed. Against all odds, Malgus survives his fall into the reactor shaft and the destruction of his space station. How he manages this feat remains a mystery wrapped in rumors and conflicting reports. Some Imperial sources later claim that Empress Asina's agents recovered his broken body from the wreckage, rebuilding him with cybernetic parts while keeping him as a secret weapon. Other stories suggest he was captured and frozen in carbonite by the Eternal Empire, a third-party regime that invades the galaxy years later. Still others believe he escaped on his own into wild space, using hidden resources to survive while plotting his return. The truth gets lost in the chaos of galactic events, but the result is the same. Malgus disappears from history for decades. During his absence, the galaxy tears itself apart in new conflicts. Emperor Valkorion's Eternal Empire conquers both the Republic and the Sith Empire, ruling from the shadows while mysterious fleets enforce his will. The established order collapses as this outside force imposes its own vision of galactic civilization. Throughout these upheavals, Malgus remains hidden. Imperial leadership keeps him in reserve, apparently deciding he's too dangerous to unleash, but too valuable to eliminate permanently. They've learned from his previous rebellion that genius and madness often share the same mind, making him useful but requiring careful control. When Valkorion's regime finally falls and the original Republic-Empire conflict resumes, the Third Galactic War begins with renewed fury. Both sides have scores to settle and new technologies to deploy. It's during this period that Empress Asina decides to play her hidden card. She fits Malgus with neural subjugation implants, devices that bind his will to Imperial command while leaving his abilities intact. The technology turns him into the perfect weapon, all of his power and skill focused through absolute obedience to whoever holds the control codes. He becomes whispered about in Imperial ranks as the new Emperor's Wrath, a mythic enforcer who serves the throne's darkest needs. His return to active service remains secret at first. The Empire doesn't want their enemies knowing that Darth Malgus has returned from the dead, especially not in a leashed condition that might make him seem weak. Better to keep him as a surprise weapon for when the situation demands overwhelming force. That moment comes during the Imperial invasion of Ossus, a Jedi colony world that represents everything the Empire wants to destroy. The attack begins normally enough, with standard Imperial forces establishing beachheads while Sith Lords coordinate the assault. Then a cargo pod arrives at the Imperial base, listed as routine supplies in the logistics reports. When Darth Malora goes to inspect the container, she gets the shock of her life. Malgus bursts out of the pod and declares himself in command of the entire operation. Those present, including Imperial commanders and Alliance leaders, can barely believe what they're seeing. The false Emperor, dead for decades, stands before them very much alive. Malgus wastes no time establishing his authority. He pushes Malora aside for her incompetence and takes personal command of the assault on the Ossus Jedi Enclave. His tactics prove devastatingly effective as Republic defenders fall back before his advance. Even Master Nos Dural and his Jedi allies get driven off the planet, unable to withstand the return of their most dangerous enemy. The victory on Ossus makes Malgus's survival public knowledge across the galaxy. Republic intelligence networks scramble to understand how he returned and what it means for their war effort. Imperial forces celebrate the return of their greatest general, though some wonder what price the Empire paid to secure his loyalty. Unknown to his superiors, Malgus uses the Ossus operation for his own purposes. While officially focused on driving off the Jedi, he secretly steals a mysterious tome from the Ossus library. The ancient text hints at knowledge and power beyond anything the current conflict offers, suggesting that Malgus has goals beyond simple military victory. Over the following months, Malgus continues serving as a frontline commander under the new Emperor Vowron, who inherited power after Asina's death. His most significant operation comes at Corellia, where the Republic has built a new shipyard that could shift the war's balance. The Meridian Complex represents cutting-edge technology that neither side can afford to let their enemies control. Malgus co-leads the assault alongside Darth Krovos, marshalling massive Imperial fleets for what becomes one of the war's largest naval battles. His tactical brilliance shows during the fighting as he anticipates Republic strategies and adjusts his forces accordingly. When Imperial troops breach the shipyard's defenses, Malgus personally leads the assault on the control center. Inside the facility, he duels Jedi Knight Tau Idair, a student of Master Nos Dural, seeking revenge for what happened on Ossus. The fight showcases Malgus's continued deadly skills, but it also provides him with an unexpected opportunity. An explosion during the duel knocks him unconscious, requiring medical attention from Imperial medics. The medical team makes a shocking discovery while treating their unconscious patient. Malgus has somehow destroyed his neural control implant during the battle, freeing himself from the chains that bound him to Imperial service. The damage appears deliberate, suggesting he's been planning this moment since his return to active duty. When Malgus regains consciousness, he immediately kills the Imperial medical droid attending him and demands transport off Corellia. His handlers realize too late that their perfect weapon has just broken free of their control. The man they thought they owned has been playing a longer game than anyone suspected. Now rogue once again, Malgus vanishes into the galaxy with goals that extend beyond the current Republic-Empire conflict. The tome he stole on Ossus represents knowledge that could reshape his understanding of the Force itself. Whatever he's planning, it involves power greater than simple military conquest. The Third Galactic War continues without him, but both sides know that Malgus remains active somewhere in the shadows. His brief return proved that reports of his death were greatly exaggerated, and his escape from Imperial control suggests he's learned from his previous mistakes. The galaxy thought it had seen the last of Darth Malgus when his space station exploded over Ilum. His reappearance proved that some enemies refuse to stay dead, especially when they have unfinished business with the entire galactic order. Now he operates independently once more, free from the political constraints that limited his previous rebellion. The Empire can no longer control him, the Republic can't predict his moves, and his ultimate goals remain hidden from everyone except himself. The false Emperor has returned from apparent death twice now. The galaxy should probably start preparing for whatever he does next, because a man who survives that much destruction clearly has plans worth dying for, and in Malgus's case, worth killing for as well. Some people chase power their entire lives and never find it. Others discover that the real power was never about ruling anyone else. Malgus is about to learn which kind of person he really is. Free from Imperial control for the second time, Malgus embarks on a different kind of quest. Military conquest no longer satisfies him. Political rebellion has already failed once. Now he seeks something deeper, older, more fundamental than anything the current galactic conflict can offer. The Ossus tome has opened his mind to possibilities beyond simple warfare. His search leads him to Dantooine, where the ruins of an ancient Jedi enclave hold secrets from a more primitive age. Among the crumbling stones and forgotten chambers, Malgus hunts for artifacts connected to Darth Nul, a mysterious Sith Lord whose name appears in the most ancient texts. The holocron he seeks could unlock knowledge that predates both the Republic and the Empire. Jedi Knight Erin Lanier senses his presence on the planet. She's the same woman who once tried to avenge Master Venzalo during the sacking of Coruscant, and her connection to the Force warns her that old enemies have returned to finish old business. But she arrives too late to stop him. Malgus penetrates the Enclave's defenses and retrieves Darth Nul's holocron from its sealed chamber. Before leaving, he sets a trap for anyone following him, creating a Force echo that will confront his pursuers with visions of his presence. It's a clever tactic that buys him time while demonstrating how much his understanding of the Force has evolved. The holocron leads him to Ilum, a remote world where the Temple of Nul houses ancient machines and records about Force users throughout history. The facility contains secrets about how the Jedi Order has operated for millennia, including uncomfortable truths about children taken from their families and those left behind. Malgus arrives to find he's not alone. Two Jedi, Master Denolm Orr and his Padawan Sahar Katin, have also come seeking Nul's knowledge. An Imperial Sith warrior completes the three-way confrontation, but Malgus eliminates this rival quickly. The real challenge comes from the Jedi, especially the young Padawan, whose past holds exactly the kind of secrets Malgus wants to exploit. When Sahar activates the Temple's ancient machine, it projects visions of her childhood that Malgus uses to plant seeds of doubt about the Jedi Order. He reveals that she had a brother she was separated from when the Jedi took her for training. The Order made that choice for both children, deciding one was worthy of training while the other was left behind. His words nearly turned Sahar against her own master. For a moment, it looks like Malgus might corrupt another young Jedi through manipulation. But Master Orr destroys the machine and tries to contain the threat by pinning Malgus under collapsed rubble. The burial doesn't last long. Malgus breaks free and kills Master Orr in front of his horrified Padawan, demonstrating the price of trying to cage someone with his power. The murder serves both practical and psychological purposes, eliminating a dangerous opponent while showing Sahar what happens to those who stand in his way. The duel with Sahar showcases how much the young Jedi has learned from her trauma. She even manages to disarm Malgus momentarily, proving that anger can fuel lightsaber skills just as effectively as the dark side. But Malgus has decades more experience, and he uses it to collapse part of the temple ceiling, forcing her to choose between attacking him and protecting herself. In that moment of distraction, Malgus seizes Darth Nul's holocron and completes his mission. But instead of killing Sahar, he spares her life with cryptic advice about breaking free from the cage the Jedi have built around her mind. His words plant seeds that will grow long after he's gone, potentially creating another fallen Jedi in years to come. The encounter shows how Malgus's goals have evolved. He's no longer content to simply destroy the Jedi and Sith orders through military force. Now he wants to shatter their philosophical foundations, exposing the lies and contradictions that hold both organizations together. It's a more subtle form of warfare, but potentially more devastating in the long run. His rampage across the galaxy eventually attracts the attention of the Alliance, a coalition that includes both Republic and Imperial elements. Led by a powerful commander and advised by Sith Lord Lana Beniko, they track Malgus down and engage him in battle on the planet Ruhnok. The confrontation costs them heavily, but they manage to subdue and capture the rogue Sith. Holding someone of Malgus's power requires extraordinary measures. They construct a special prison on Carrick Station, a Republic facility equipped with stasis fields designed to neutralize his Force abilities. For the first time in his adult life, Malgus finds himself truly helpless, locked in a cage he can't break through willpower alone. But even imprisoned, he remains dangerous. Malgus taunts his captors with dark prophecies and claims about visions he's experienced. He insists that what he set in motion will continue without him, that his capture represents only the beginning of something larger. The Alliance commander becomes his primary target for psychological warfare, someone he views as a worthy adversary despite their opposing goals. Malgus plays mind games with anyone who comes to question him, revealing just enough information to sow fear and doubt. He claims that everything the Alliance knows about Darth Nul is false, hinting at conspiracies and secrets that extend far beyond current galactic conflicts. His words suggest that the holocron he retrieved contains knowledge that could reshape understanding of the Force itself. The imprisonment doesn't last as long as his captors hope. Shae Vizsla, the Mandalorian bounty hunter who helped him destroy the Jedi Temple decades earlier, arrives with a mercenary strike team to break him out. They assault Carrick Station with military precision, disabling guards and deactivating security systems before personally freeing Malgus from his restraints. Their escape leaves the Alliance with uncomfortable questions about how a single Mandalorian could penetrate their most secure facility. Vizsla's involvement suggests that Malgus has allies they didn't know about, possibly connected to Mandalorian factions seeking their own goals. Her rescue mission proves that even in captivity, Malgus commanded loyalty from people willing to risk everything for his freedom. Now free again and operating in the shadows, Malgus continues pursuing his vision of tearing down the corrupt galactic order. His declared goal is to burn down the diseased legacies of both Jedi and Sith, building something stronger from their ashes. Whether he can achieve this ultimate vision remains one of the galaxy's most dangerous uncertainties. Looking at his entire story, from promising acolyte to galactic threat, Malgus has shaped history in ways that extend far beyond his own lifetime. His military victories helped forge the modern Sith Empire. His rebellion nearly created an alternative that could have changed galactic civilization. His survival and continued activities keep both major factions guessing about what comes next. Future generations study his tactics and philosophy. Darth Bane examines accounts of Malgus when developing the Rule of Two, noting how sustained rage can fuel a warrior through extended conflicts. Even Darth Sidious collects fragments of Malgus's war journal for his personal library, admiring the military genius while learning from the political failures. In legend and lore, Malgus stands alongside the greatest Sith warriors as someone whose will proved stronger than defeat itself. He survived battles that should have killed him, defeats that should have broken him, and imprisonment that should have ended him. Each time, he emerged more dangerous than before. His legacy extends beyond simple military achievement. Malgus proved that even within the rigid hierarchy of the Sith, individuals could champion change without losing their connection to the dark side. His willingness to employ alien allies and unorthodox tactics influenced later generations who learned that adaptation often matters more than tradition. The man who began as Veradun in his father's zoo became something the galaxy had never seen before. Part warrior, part visionary, part destroyer, he bent the fate of nations through sheer force of will. Every major power felt the impact of his actions, and his influence continues shaping events long after most assume he's finally dead. As the latest reports filter in from across the galaxy, Darth Malgus remains at large. His goals have evolved beyond simple conquest or revenge into something more fundamental. He seeks to tear down the foundations of both Jedi and Sith civilization, replacing them with something forged from his own vision of what the galaxy should become. Whether he'll succeed or finally be stopped for good remains the era's most perilous question. But one thing is certain: the boy who proved he could kill by murdering a servant has grown into a man who's proven he can survive anything the galaxy throws at him. And in a universe where power is the only currency that matters, survival is the ultimate form of victory. The story of Darth Malgus spans the rise and fall of empires, but it's not finished yet. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, the false emperor continues writing chapters that could reshape galactic history one final time. The only question is whether anyone will be strong enough to stop him when he makes his next move.